got a couple more topics before we get into some previews, but big topic conversation nationally with Alabama having a sloppy game. Bryce Young wasn't playing, but
yeah,
I think a lot of people were down on them after their game against Texas, and then against A&M, they're down again. They got Tennessee coming up, which would be big test for both those teams. Fun game nationally, but Ohio State, I believe, got more first place votes than they've had all season. And a lot of national media are saying that the AP voters got it wrong, and Ohio State is the best team to them at the moment. I watch some national games. I can't say that I watch every game that's involving Alabama and Georgia, but I will say that watching this Ohio State team as closely as I do, they had the first game against Notre Dame, which was a out of character game offensively. They lost Jackson Smith and Jigba in that game, so it took them out of their game plan, not to make an excuse, because Ryan Day is a great offensive mind who should be able to adapt. But the defense really bowed up. And looking at Notre Dame right now, they've won 3 in a row. Had the win against BYU, so it seems like things are turning around for them. And then it's just been fireworks on offense. They've got a top 10 total defense. I think they're top 15 in the country in scoring defense right now. Georgia had kind of a sleepy game against Kent State, and then Missouri took them to the wire. Probably should have won that football game. Do you think Ohio State is the best team in the country?
I'm not going to throw all that out there. What I will say is, and I've said this in the past, I think this is Ohio State's year to win it. For Ryan Day, get the first one under his belt. If they're going to win it any year, this is the year, because of all the things that you mentioned about Georgia and Alabama. I think Alabama is much more gettable this year than they have been in the past. I still think Georgia's a really good football team. And I think that they're probably going to be the toughest challenge if you were to line these teams up and just let them go play. It's hard for me to say this, but I think Georgia's going to be more of a challenge for Ohio State than Alabama would be. But I do think that the way that this offense is constructed, it's kind of, to me, Ohio State is the best of both worlds in terms of what we see out there, right? Like right now, we're probably looking at Lincoln Riley out at USC as the high-powered offense that's ripping and roaring, right? Obviously, people say Ryan Day still got that. Yes, 100%. But they have that, right? Comparable, if not better, in my opinion. And then they also have a defense to back that up where USC lacks that. So they dip into like the SEC and the Pac-12, and that's the Big Ten coming together with their juggernaut, right? They have the physicality at the lines of scrimmage. And that's why I think Ohio State this year this has been the year, to me, closest to the year that you guys got it done, where you can say, okay, like these guys are gettable. Like 100% preseason, and every year, every team thinks that, but just from a different perspective now, outside of a locker room, just watching the teams play, I think this could be Ohio State's year.
Yeah, I think so too. And for me, like, do I think Ohio State is the best team in the country? I can make the argument, but being realistic, have they actually been challenged this year? Like, they're the big games that Ohio State was supposed to have through the halfway point of the year. Notre Dame, they're not what they were supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin is not what they were supposed to be. Michigan State, not what they were supposed to be. That's not Ohio State's fault. They've done what they were supposed to do, but I don't think that they've been challenged yet to a point where I can say, okay, they've proven to me that all of the things that we believe are true right now hold up against really good competition. You still got Penn State out there, Michigan's out there, Maryland, we know can challenge teams. But outside of that, to me, like, I'd love to go out on a limb and say yes, but I'd still want that data point against a really good football team to be like, we have seen it.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, and I want your opinion on this as well, because this is a really strong take of mine for college football fans out there. But I think when you cut through all the bullshit and all the fluff, like Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, you could probably at one point in time have made the argument for Clemson. At any point in time, those 4 programs, from a talent standpoint, roll them out there, coaching staff standpoint, who they have, you put them out there, they're all gonna go 500 against each other. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be who's hot, who's playing with more confidence, momentum of the game. There's just who's gonna make a better decision from a coaching standpoint. There's just so many like finite points. It's not gonna come down to like, oh, this guy's that much better than that guy, or we just roll these guys out here and let them play. Like it would really be like some really fun street ball type situation. If you get these 4 teams together and just let them play for a season, you'd see a lot of just, I think, really good football, really good coaching. And that's why it's like hard for me to ever say like, oh, this team's better than that team. Like I'd almost, again, going back to my pod guy stance, like I'm a pod guy. I think that pod of college football programs and coaches put themselves in a situation where in any given year, in any given week, they could go out and beat one another. It's just going to really come down to who's playing with more confidence and more of the intangibles rather than the X's and O's and the Jimmies and Joes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And I think that's why many years ago there was an appetite for a college football playoff. And I think that's why a lot of people also want to see expansion because we know the top 3 teams. And I agree with you if we're going to put them in pods like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, you throw them right in that first pod. And it's probably, depending on the day, who's going to be successful with you on that. And then there's another pod right behind them that I think is pretty deep where you throw in Michigan and Clemson, you throw in USC, you throw in Penn State, you throw in Oklahoma State. Like I'm there with you. And so yes, like right now, would I love to be definitive about who the best team in the country is? Absolutely. Does it actually matter at this juncture? No, because they're going to have to go out and win the rest of their games, and they're going to have to compete at the highest level at the end of the year.
And that's my point moving forward too, though, Josh, is that like I don't know why we waste time and waste breath on figuring out who is. Like we know who's
because we're media people.
Yeah, 100%. But who's built to do it? And Ohio State's 1,000% built to do it. Same with Georgia, same with Alabama. And to your point, the best part about it is we're going to find out.
Yes, we will. Absolutely will.
We're dropping our merch.
We got to start calling Underwood Daddy Brad.
But I'm a big pod guy.
Breaking news. The Field of 68 has an online store, and it's your one-stop shop for the latest and greatest merch in college basketball and college football. You can find shirts to support your favorite team, make fun of your rival team, or boast Field of 68 catchphrases like Daddy Brad, Cussin' and Discussin', and the Star Heels. Go to www.fieldof68.shop today and enter promo code TOUCHDOWN for 20% off at checkout.